Tonight, Dad's given me some of his creme brulee, and it's so good. It's better than all of the other ones because they don't even taste like vanilla, but this one does, and it's delicious. All you need to do is watch his video, and it's amazing.
Today we're visiting an old French classic, the Creme Brulee, and by the end of this video you're going to have all the pro tips for a silky, smooth, rich, crunchy topped creme brulee. Let's dive in. The first thing we need to do is preheat the oven to 110 degrees Celsius or 230 degrees Fahrenheit. Now what we've got to do is get all the little beans out of this vanilla pod. They're hard to get. If you can't get one, use some vanilla extract. Now they should be soft and supple like that, and if you can tie a knot with it, it's fresh. If it's crispy, then it's no good, it's just old. So if you can't find one, then go for vanilla essence or vanilla paste is fine. Just push it out like that, and with the tip of a sharp knife, we're going to come along here and just pop an incision in there, just like we're doing a little bit of surgery. Open it up, and then we're scraping all this delicious vanilla bean out of there. And we'll turn it around and get the other end. There we go. Look at all that goodness. Lots of tiny little beans. That's going to go in with our milk and cream. And into a pot is going to go some cream. But we are cutting it with a little bit of whole fat milk as well. This will make our brulee silkier and not quite as rich. Put the rest of that. Now in goes the vanilla bean. We're going to put this guy in there as well, and we're just going to whisk it around. Hopefully you can see on the camera all those black beans. Well, they're not black, are they? They're black in colour, they're vanilla beans, and that flavour is going to infuse into that milk and cream mixture, which we can leave for half an hour, or we can heat it up straight away. The longer you leave it, the more vanilla flavour we're going to get. Whilst the milk and cream is infusing with the vanilla, I'm going to get 5 egg yolks in here. And we will save the egg whites to make a meringue with some other day. We're using 2 types of sugar, caster sugar and powdered sugar. We're putting a combination in. This is going to improve the texture out of all sides. Now when you whisk your eggs, it's more a stir than a whisk. If you whisk this mixture, we'll end up with bubbles, right? We'll end up with this foam on top. And we don't want that on top of a brulee, because when we cook it, the bubbles will cook in place and it just won't look quite as good. So you're just stirring the eggs together with the sugar. Let's get the milk and cream heated up. Turn the milk and cream onto a medium heat. Not high, we want to slowly bring it up to temperature, and we do not want it to boil. The moment it starts to bubble, off it comes. We'll just gently stir this every now and again until it just starts to bubble, just coming to a simmer. You can see all that beautiful vanilla bean in there. And I've got the jug that I had my cream in on standby for when this just starts to bubble. And there it is there. You can see it's just starting to bubble away almost. Get ready. There we go. It's just starting to dance away there ever so gently, just a wee bit more. This is key. Some recipes call for you to boil it, a mistake. We don't want to scald the cream and milk mixture. And there you go. You can see it bubbling around the side. I'm turning the heat off, and I will pour this now into the jug. And you can see all that vanilla bean in there. That's all flavour and goodness, so I'm going to get that out. I can discard the pod now. See, that was really worth doing when you look at all that goodness there, all that beautiful vanilla flavour. Now you can see that we do have a few bubbles on there. I'm going to get rid of those bubbles, and the little vanilla beans will find their way through this fine mesh sieve. Now don't be tempted at this stage to suddenly squash those things through, because that's all the sort of the pith and stuff from the vanilla pod. There we go. Just get that out of there. I'll do 2 more strains and 1 more, and we're ready to temper our eggs now. Now we're going to temper the egg yolks with the sugars with our hot cream and milk vanilla mix. And I'm going to pour about half a cup in to start off with. And now I'm just going to stir it in. If you pour it all in at once, you run the risk of scrambling the egg yolks. That is combined. Now we'll add some more. Add another half cup. There we go, and you can see we've got a few bubbles on there, which we want to avoid. We don't want lots of bubbles. There we go, and now I can pretty much add the rest of our milk, cream and vanilla mix. Now, if you end up like that, then grab a spatula and let's get them out, because that is flavour. Now I've still got my strainer, because pouring them into our ramekins from a jug is going to be a lot easier. And then you see it gets any of those little bits of egg yolks that didn't quite mix in. A little trick right now is I'll just come around with a teaspoon and take any extra bubbles off the top. And that's kind of yummy to have as a little taster. There we go. Now we're ready to fill our ramekins. Traditionally they shoot for a low profile dish when making a brulee, but hey, who's got these? Who's going to go out and buy them? So just go for a standard ramekin. I've got a glass one. Choose whatever you like. You could even use a cup, would do just fine. It's a good trick to lay a tea towel in here, which will stop these guys sliding around when we transport them to the oven. Now, give this a little gentle stir, just so we get the vanilla beans evenly distributed, and using a jug is the best trick, and divide the mixture between your 4 ramekins. And see, I don't have too many air bubbles on top, and that's a great thing. Right now they're full, they can go in the oven, which we've preheated, and I've heated some water in the jug. Now we want to fill it about halfway up the brulee. The easiest way is to take one out and pour it in until we're about halfway or a fraction over up. Now I've boiled the water, but it's cooled down a bit, so it doesn't have to be boiling. Let's get them into the oven. And you can see with that tea towel, it makes transporting so easy, and I do not have any bubbles on top. How do you tell when your creme brulee is cooked? Oh, the power of the Dietrich, the perfect wobble, that's what we're looking for. Just a little wobble on top. Or a jiggle, call it what you like. Been in there for 2 hours. Every oven will be a little bit different, but the Dietrich oven is pretty perfect when it comes to temperature. Look at that sort of little wobble on there. And once they're baked, you need to get them out and just let them sit for a minute and use a spatula or a fish slice to help you get them out. Into the fridge, not for a nap, but an overnight good sleep will make them even better, but a minimum of 4 hours in the fridge, because they're a little wobbly on top, but when they come out, they'll be set and silky smooth. Well, we always feel better after a good night's sleep, and this guy has been sitting in the fridge, and look, the wobble is gone, the brulee is completely set. All we're going to do now is put the sugar on and caramelize it. So I'm going to mix 2 sugars together. We've got caster sugar, and we've got raw sugar or brown sugar, which is going to give it the molasses flavour. Mix those together. You can just go for one or the other. The raw sugar will give a slightly crunchier texture, and the caster sugar, not a lot of flavour but a crunch. But the brown sugar brings a lovely molasses flavour to it. So you want 1 to 2 teaspoons in there. Probably more like 1.5, but we can just go a little extra and then just shuffle it around there like that. I want to get rid of some, I can. So as even as possible there. Now for the fun part. You can buy a small one of these or a big one. Head to Trade Depot or a store like that and you'll get yourself a proper one. Now, don't go too close because you will see it will start to caramelize quite quickly. The minute it starts to go golden, come away from it. You can always go back to it because what we don't want is black sugar because we'll get a burnt flavour. There we go, that's looking good. And see how it carries on cooking? Now, what you don't want to do at this stage, and I've seen chefs do it, they test to see if it's crunchy. They put their finger on it and instantly they have the burnt tip of a finger. You need to wait a few minutes to let it cool and it will go crunchy. And after we wait a moment or two, you can hear it's crunchy. Now, the moment of truth. Let's cut in here. Oh my goodness, look at that. Beautiful. Time to have a taste. Silky, smooth, creamy texture, vanilla creme brulee with a crunchy top. It melts in your mouth. So the two different sugars, the milk and the cream, the two different sugars on top, the slower cooking time, that is the secret to the best creme brulee. And before you race off, I've got some more pro tips for you. We'll explain why they work. Love you to hit that like and subscribe. Love you to hit the notifications button, but even more, I'd love you to make a comment. Tell me what you'd like me to cook next, what you thought of my recipe. Maybe you've got a better one. Maybe. Take care, everybody. Now for some pro tips. But let's talk about a couple of cool extra things that you could do if you wanted to give your brulees that extra 5% magic. Well, when you heat up your milk and cream with your vanilla, you could put your favourite chocolate in. You could have a minty chocolate, or orange chocolate, a berry chocolate. There are all sorts of great chocolates on the market. You could put a splash of rose water in there. The world is your oyster, maybe even just a little white chocolate. So give it your special touch for your brulee, so it's your recipe and not mine. Okay, now, when you're gonna need one of these for caramelizing on top, right? And we're using two different sugars, caster sugar and brown sugar or raw sugar, okay? Now, the raw brown sugar brings a molassesy flavor and an extra crunch. And the caster sugar is pretty neutral and traditional, but I like the mix of the two because it just adds a depth of flavor. You are going to need one of these guys. You can buy smaller ones, but the smaller ones, they'll run out of gas so fast. Head to somebody like Trade Depot and buy yourself one that's going to last you, and you'll be doing thousands of brulees before this thing runs out, right? You can do it under the broiler in the oven or the grill. Never works out quite as well, unfortunately. But that's a last resort if you don't have one of these bad boys. Gently whisk your egg yolks with your sugar. Whisking too vigorously can introduce air into the custard, leading to bubbles, and then you're going to get an uneven texture on the surface. So if we gently mix it together, kind of stirring with the whisk, you'll have a much smoother topping on your custard, and it's the little things that make the difference. Why are we using 2 sugars in our milk and cream vanilla mix? Because the caster sugar mixed with the powdered sugar or the icing sugar is going to give us a silky smooth texture. It's worth it. I'm using good quality eggs. I've used pasture-raised eggs, not because I think they taste any different. It's hard to detect the taste, but they have much higher omegas and vitamins and good things for us. So I'm just being kind to my body because I had some and today I could afford them. Why am I cooking at a lower temperature than a lot of brulee recipes out there? A lot of them call for 150 degrees C to 160 degrees C, or that's, if you're in the world of Fahrenheit, that's 300 F to 325 Fahrenheit. But in my recipe, I'm calling for 110 degrees C or 230 degrees Fahrenheit. And this is going to result in a much smoother and silkier custard with that slow cooking. Give it a go. I'm sure you'll be a subscriber after you've tried it. The custard is cooked when it's set around the edges but slightly jiggly or a little wobble in the center. You can insert the tip of a sharp knife into the edge and it should just come out smooth with nothing stuck to it. And then once it goes into the fridge, that's when the real setting of your brulee is going to happen. And that's why I really love you to do it overnight if time permits. Hey, I'd love you to give me a thumbs up. I'd love you to subscribe. I'd love you to make a comment and tell me what you think about it. Joining in the chat, it's kind of what I do it for, and you know, the likes and subscribes really help me. So thank you very much. Take care, everybody, and I hope you liked my creme brulee.